Okay. Now, let me find the chat.
Right. What is the connection between the dramatic play, visual arts, and music dance centers? I'm assuming the next part isn't for us. So I guess we just talk about it.
And incorporate all 3 areas, be sure.
I think the connection between all of those areas are the children can express themselves through role playing, whether it be in the dramatic play center, they can be whomever they want to be, whatever role. They act out things that they see and experience in everyday life. With visual arts, again, they can create freely. In music and dance, I don't have a center for it, but we do have music and movement. So my kids like to express themselves through there. And sometimes I will pull out like a microphone and my kids will just sing. They're very animated. So in my opinion, I think the connection between all 3 of those would be being able to be expressive, to build on their knowledge of not only themselves, but others, where they're from, being able to make those connections to their lives outside of school, and then just role playing and acting them out at school.
Tessa, that was a perfect answer.
It really is, yeah.
I think that it also helps them with their social emotional development.
Yes.
I agree.
You know, because they get away, like she said, express themselves, and sometimes they get away to act, you know, just get stuff off their chest, especially with the art. You know, because if a kid is having a hard time, they can just sit there and they can just scribble like crazy, you know, or draw something and be like, "Oh, I'm angry," you know, and then they can talk, you know, you can talk to them about like, "Well, why is, you know, what's going on with this picture?" And they tell you, "Oh, this is me and I'm angry." And then you can, you know, get into a discussion like, "What are you angry about?"
Yeah.
Or even if they don't have the words, you could say, this face looks kind of sad. What's going on?
Sometimes what I'll do is like I'll have them act it out, you know, or I'll act like them and they think that's like the funniest thing.
Yes, they do.
I'd be like, show me how you feel today. And I'm all animated and like they'll, you know, some will be happy, some will be sad, or, you know, so that's like an activity.
Yeah, no,
Good way to keep them like creative. I personally love doing all this stuff because I feel like sitting there and like learning the letters is so like boring after you do it so many times that like it's nice to like get out of that like moment and like be able to like creatively like express yourself. And like even with music, like I don't have like sometimes we do like dance videos on the carpet, but like I don't have like a space for them to do music, but I'll like play Disney music in the background. Like I have a huge playlist like with Disney music, like Alpha ABCs, like all these different like kids songs, and I literally just let it play, and then they end up making their own music and dance center on the carpet, and they're all just dancing, twirling around, singing the songs. I have one girl that knows all of the words to Let It Go, but then also the coordinated like movements that Elsa does. And it's a whole production. So basically it's like dramatic play. She is Elsa. Harper Boo. I don't know
that's
her.
cute. I feel like another connection between them, kind of like what you guys were saying too, just to add more is like they can learn through those areas. I remember like when I worked at KinderCare, like if we would talk about like occupation jobs, like dramatic play, like the kids could dress up of like different things, so like a policeman or a fireman, or just like occupational jobs, and then visual arts, so like actually having stuff like that. So we would actually have like posters, maybe like someone who worked on like an ambulance, and then even like for music and dance, like we would have like just different like songs kind of that would like relate to things that we were learning about. And it was like the same for every area. So like if we were learning about weather, we would do stuff, or I think one time we were learning about like dinosaurs. So we always had something that was like connecting it to like the curriculum. So they were still learning through play.
And the kids love that.
Oh yeah.
In
We're
in
doing
my
this
room, we did
together.
something similar where we did art and this little girl was using black and brown and She never does this. And then we do our music and movement after breakfast. So then, okay, we're doing this. She's barely moving. Usually she's hopping around. Then we're okay, free play, dramatic centers. I took out little vacuums and the big broom and a little broom, just like something for them to pretend like they're cleaning. And all of a sudden I hear her shout, "Shut up." And she's not even 3. And I was like, oh, we're having big feelings. What does that mean? Who are you? And she said, Mia, her sister, her older sister. Shut up. And I was like, well, how does that make you feel? And she's icky. Like that's all she was able to do. So I brought her over to the feelings chart and we identified, anger and sad, right? But I'm like, okay, this explained the colors. So it was a direct connection between her art, and I didn't put it together really until I read this question, but I was like, okay, she's not really participating. Is she sick? Is she not feeling well? And here it's it all comes together with the social emotional aspect of regulating your own feelings and seeing how you are, seeing how people interact with you and how you react with them. But sorry, that jumped out at me though. Reading
that's a good, yeah, that's a good
story.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things maybe it builds on is their self-confidence and self-esteem. It helps build that up. But no, I would agree with you, Crystal, because I'm seeing that right now in my classroom with a lot of my kiddos. And unfortunately, I'm seeing this with my nephew right now, who's in my class, and he is acting out behaviors of, so I have a really hard room. I used to think that my afternoon class was harder than my morning, but now that we've switched the times of the classrooms, my morning class is actually now harder than my afternoon class. And what I'm seeing is I have more children with various types of special needs, a lot more behavioral needs, not being able to self-regulate those social emotional skills. So he is picking up on other children's behavior and he is just mocking and doing it. So like today, he just was crawling around the classroom. He didn't eat not one time while he was at school today. He didn't eat breakfast, snack, nothing, no lunch, and just crawled around. He was quiet. He wouldn't talk. He was disengaged. And the other side of that is if he has a rough morning at home, this is what happens on these days. He tends to act out more when he has a rough day at home. Today, I wasn't able to get it out of him, like if he had a bad morning, because I sing a hello song in the morning and it ends with, and how are you today? And then each child to tell me how they're feeling. And then if they say angry or sad, then I ask them why. And if there's anything I can do to help them. If they say, no, there's nothing I can do to help them, and say, I'm sorry you're feeling this way today, but I'm glad you're here today. And he will usually tell me, but today he didn't really tell me because he battles the yelling of mom every morning, screaming at older sister and him, and he battles sister with the ADHD and ODD who just picks at him all the time. So, and he's 4, so there's a big gap there. And I can see that when he plays in the different areas, like he's more aggressive with the art materials, or when he's in dramatic play, he's a little more handsy. So that was a good connection. I didn't even think of that. Then as they develop an activity that can incorporate all 3 areas.
I feel like you can't really make like a good activity that incorporates all of them because I feel like that's too much at one time. Like I feel like, and this might be outside of the question, Lee, mark me down later, but I feel like you can't have like a dramatic, like you can't have it all at once. Like it should be like broken up. So it's like not the whole class is doing it. You know what I'm saying? It should be like a center kind of jam.
Yeah, because
Then
kind of like when you do your themes, you don't want your whole theme to take up your entire classroom because not all of your children are interested in that theme.
Right.
exactly. Like you need different things. Like it can't be
So-
one whole activity.
I think I just set up my dramatic play, like with a little more like dress up clothes, let them put it on. And depending what they pick a song, set up my art easel and go to town to the music that they like. You know, that way it's kind of like, okay, well, am I going to color or paint differently? Here's your art easel. What do you want to do? Or sometimes what I do is I'll play like Mozart or something, but I do like, wait, Mozart. Yeah, Beethoven, Mozart. Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
So I'll play those and then I give them Play-Doh. And some of the kids, like when it's like do 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 do, like they like go crazy on the Play-Doh. And then when it's a smoother section, they're like trying to sculpt it up or into a ball or into a shape, you know. But then once the music goes, so that's one of the activities. Maybe let them dress up as they see fit, if they want, if they don't, whatever. Because with us, it's not allowed to force an activity of any
Right.
kind. I've planned intricate, beautiful, magnifique activities. And these kids look at it, roll their eyes, and walk the other way. And you know what mama got to do? I have to do the exact same. Like, all right, we're moving on. But that's the only activity though that I can really think of to do
Yeah.
to cover all three.
If it's just like a single activity, I think mine for preschool would be kind of similar. So like I would maybe add in, let's just say if it was community helpers, I would add in some stuff in dramatic play. Maybe for the visual arts that day, maybe I would put out some pictures of some community helpers or buildings and maybe have them do some observational drawing. So they're visually seeing the pictures and then I want them to redraw it, but I want them to draw it how they want to draw it. And then maybe in the music and dance center, maybe we use tools to make music with or play the sounds that they would hear at like a construction site or whatever it is that they're interested in.
I like that. That's very, you guys are both very creative.
And Tessa, I think that leads into the next question too, beautifully, because it's saying list different techniques to apply to your instruction to cultivate creativity in your classroom. Well, using tools as instruments, that's creative right there. That's not the typical status quo. You're going out of your way to do that.
Right.
So
And
maybe
also
we
when
have
she
other
was,
ones.
and also when she was talking about playing music with those sounds, so they could move their bodies like they're the instrument, like they're the tools, or you just move to the beat of whatever that sound is.
Mhm.
Because you know, with the like when they have the jackhammer, you know, they might want to jump up and down every time they hear the jackhammer sound, or you know, pretend like they're actually swinging a hammer when they hear the hammering sound or something like that. So that gives them creative expression, and they're getting large motor exercise, and they're doing a whole bunch of stuff at one time.
I can see
Yeah.
my kids jumping around right now like jackhammers.
Yeah, I can see mine too. I'm like, they would just lose it, but they would have fun and be tired for naps. So yeah, go ahead.
That just reminded me, there are videos that we play in our classroom for like dance and music time, and you basically, which I personally think lets them be a little creative because they pick a choice. So like on the screen it'll be like, would you rather, like it's a would you rather kind of dance video, and it's like, would you
That's fun.
rather like paint a picture or would you rather like do jumping jacks, and then and then it flips, and then each section has like a different like dance movement, yoga pose that they have to do, and they get to pick. And I really like those. Kids get real into it, and I think that helps them like they don't have to do the same thing as their friend. They get to pick what they want to do and not be influenced by other people.
Yeah, I think giving them choices helps with that
Right.
creativity from the
Right.
go.
Yeah.
Then, okay, you want to do this or this, which one? And sometimes I find myself, I don't like silence, right? Like it's just something in me. But the kids, sometimes I'm like, oh, nobody's talking. I need to structure this. I need to lead an activity a little better. Well, no, they're just working with each other quietly
Right.
and doing their own creative thinking.
Right.
So
Right.
instead of maybe working on having more patience could be a good technique to promote creativity, because
Right.
you know, you don't always need something. Sometimes the creativity sparks within themselves as well.
Right. And they're also understanding that everything doesn't have to be loud. We don't have to be bouncing off the walls all the time. It's like that's kind of like that self-regulation. Okay, I can sit down here and quietly do this activity. I don't have to be bouncing all over everywhere. So yeah.
Yeah, I
Looks
agree.
like
I feel like you
it's,
guys, oh, sorry. I
no, go
I was
ahead.
just say I feel like you guys made all like really good points and like definitely good techniques. And I was gonna even say like to maybe even having like books or something like that, or adding like music along and having maybe like different types of books that show like different families or different cultures, and even like incorporating it that way and bringing out maybe like materials like that just talk about a family setting, or yeah, I don't know, like different music and instruments. I feel like that would all kind of incorporate too with just different culture and like creative ways to
Right.
bring to your classroom.
Right. Because because of different cultures, they have different kinds of music and the rhythm and stuff is different. So they can, they can move their bodies. They're moving their bodies in a different way. Because one person might think about, oh, they could do this, but another person might want to get like the scarves and dance with the scarves, or
Right.
somebody else might want to get like the ribbons and dance with the ribbons. So yeah.
We always have a visitor that comes every year, right before the school year is over. His name is Rudy Vallejo, and he is actually the Chippewa Indian. And it's always nice to see. I've seen him for 8 years in a row now, but it never gets old to see him interact with the kids because they're so interested in the way that he's moving his body, the different tools that he's using. He'll bring in like the different skins of the animals, the different music instruments, feathers from eagles, and he always incorporates a song with them, and he'll hand out all these music instruments and these pieces and bring the kids in and just have them going. And it's amazing to hear them all on the same beat together, because I've tried that in the classroom and it never works. However, with somebody from another culture bringing in these new items that they never see, just
That's such
amazing.
enrichment.
Yeah.
That's such enrichment. I'm so jealous that your kids get to experience that. I'm
Yeah,
so
he's
jealous.
really great. I think he's part of, is it called the Kickapoo tribe? They go around and they do the big, what do you call that? The powwows. And I know they travel. So
Yeah.
you should look in your area and see if there's any big powwows, and see if you can maybe get a hold of somebody or that specific community service part, and see if you can get somebody to come out. Cause I think we pay him, I don't know, like 125 to come out, and he does 2 shows. Because we take half the school out at one time and then half out at another time. And even just looking at this question, this makes me excited about my next unit, because right now we're doing a tree study. I was thinking ahead to winter. I know how we get stuck inside for a really long time, and I know how behaviors tend to go up and everybody gets cabin fever, and we're going to do a light and shadow study. So I bought a projector just so we could have it for the light, and I'm going to put different types of material up in the classroom so they can shine lights on it. We're going to have flashlights and work with different shadows and just let the kids create. And there's just so many different things I'm thinking of as I'm looking at the question with the dramatic play, visual arts, and music and dance together.
That'll be super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds cool.
Because you could actually turn off the lights and they could dance to the music with the flashlights, or make the lights dance.
Yes.
That'd be cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm
They-
looking
they
forward
would
to
love
see
that.
how they interact with us having the lights dimmer than normal. To see maybe how the atmosphere changes in the classroom versus the bright sun all the time and the bright lights. So I'm gonna stop recording.